Omaha's news leader, chronicling the stories and people making a difference in our community. This is KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle.
I'm Rob McCartney. Thanks for joining us for this morning for KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle. Today we're taking a closer look at an emerging sector of America's workforce and the military. How leaders in the armed forces are trying to appeal to a new generation of future soldiers, as well as how educational leaders in schools are working to expand the skilled technical workforce. As you'll hear in a few minutes, Army recruiters say basically the Army's story is not reaching enough Americans, and a lot of young Americans are losing trust in American institutions, including the military. First, earlier this month, Bellevue University hosted what it called the Meet Your Army event. The goal, to display the different kinds of opportunities available to those who serve. Chronicle's Jonah Gilmore shows us more.
This is just a great event for locally.
Stan Hawkins knows all about serving our country.
Live the role, so we're able to talk to people and give them advice for going to school, earning their degree, being in the military. We've all done that.
The director of government operations at Bellevue University is one of many people engaging the public about a future in the military.
See what the Army here has to offer. As far as education benefits, as far as job opportunities.
First Lieutenant Timothy Newton says events like this are vital to bring the real deal to people.
They play Call of Duty, their Counter-Strike, or any type of shooting game that relates to military service or looks like military service, and they think that's all we do.
Newton says their roles stretch beyond combat and include opportunities for HR personnel, mechanics, and pilots.
Across the board, you could do anything, a cook, band, like I said, 180 different positions, and only a few of those are combat focused.
Along with learning about the different opportunities within the military, people are also learning about the options they could have once back in civilian life.
The Partnership for Your Success is a program that's been around for 23 years now, and what it does is it gives soldiers an opportunity for employment opportunities when they get out of the active duty Army or when they get home from training for the Reserve and National Guard.
Travis Carter says PACE has more than 1,000 partners.
The soldiers get to pick up to 5 in an area that they want to either live or where they will be with their Reserve or National Guard unit. And they pick 5 companies out of our partners that they get guaranteed job interviews with.
And with this program and event, it shows recruits, even after the military, there's still opportunities.
We have that opportunity to share our experiences with those military folks and say, hey, here's where we're at now, me 30 years later, but here's where you can be, later on in life.
Jonah Gilmore, KETV News Watch 7.
And this morning, we welcome U.S. Army First Sergeant Leonard Grimes to the show. Sergeant Grimes, thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. First, what's your background? Where are you from? Why'd you join all that?
So I'm originally from Memphis,
okay.
Memphis, Tennessee. I joined the Army as a military police, 31 Bravo military police. Essentially, went to Fort Leonard Wood to get my military police training. I did that for about 8.5 years. Around year 7 of my tenure as military police, the U.S. Army selected me for recruiter duty. I went on to recruit in several different places: Houston, Texas, St. Peters, Missouri, now in Omaha. So I just enjoy continuing to tell my story to people. I think recruiting is kind of like ministry. Go out and talk about what the service has done for me and my family.
Right. How old were you when you joined?
I think I was 22. I was 22 when I joined.
Okay. Nice. What kind of specialties did you pick up in the Army? I mean, the ability to talk to people, was that one of them?
Yeah, the communication skills for sure. It's something that I picked up in the Army. But in addition to that, just discipline, basic soft skills, how to pick up on different personalities and how to deal with different personalities has definitely benefited me in my adult life today.
When you talk to potential recruits, what's the biggest misconception or misperception they have? There's a lot of people who think that it's just you guys play Call of Duty and it's one of those things, it's armed warfare all the time.
Yeah, so one of the biggest misconceptions is that we wake up early throughout our entire careers. We do, but what they see on TV and mass media outlets is kind of the training environment. Once you leave the training environment, it's essentially a job. They also think we wear the uniform 24/7 until they see you out in public with your family, at the local Target, and they realize you're just a normal human being like they are.
Yeah, and you just have a job like, you know, they do.
That's it.
So how do you get around that too when you're talking to a recruit, to get around that misperception that they have?
Well, the first thing you want to do is kind of meet them where they are.
Okay.
And then go into telling your story, ask them what their concerns are about Army service, and then essentially give them information regarding their concerns and how to overcome those concerns.
Mm-hmm. We've heard the Army stories not reaching enough Americans. You know, we saw that quote earlier. They're losing trust in American institutions, including the military. How do you get them to trust what you're selling them?
Ultimately, we need to make sure that the Army story or the military story in general is kind of told across every medium. We know that there's a disconnect in veterans in local communities. There's been a decline over the years. And so what's currently happening is individuals that are serving today, the military is kind of their family business. But in order to get away from that, we need to just make sure we have platforms like this to talk about what we do and how we do it and how those things have benefited us in our lives today.
Let's talk about what you do. What kind of career path options are there out there?
There's currently roughly about 180 different career paths. And those range anything from medical all the way to military police, as I alluded to earlier. So it's really identifying the possibilities, where you want to be. If you look at yourself at age 17, I always tell young people, hey, where do you want to be in the next 5 years? And let's talk about some Army programs to help you get to that overall goal.
You mentioned that you're pretty well versed on soft skills like communication. I'm apparently having some trouble with it right now myself. But you're well versed in that. But there are hard skills out there. There's the math and the sciences, and there's skilled technical. We're going to talk about that in a little bit here. Do you have recruits coming to you for that, and how do you sell the Army or the military to them?
Recruits come to us for a myriad of reasons. So when it comes to hard skills, typically we have college students or even some young high school students that have a great idea of where they want to be in the next 3 years or 5 years, whatever that case is. And all we do is try to pair one of those military occupational specialties to what their overall goals are. So I'll give you an example. If someone says, hey, I want to be an electrician, okay, well, we can make you an electrician in the Army. Now, you're going to leave home at age 17. You're going to go serve at a camp, post, and station across the world. You're going to learn some soft skills because you have to be at a certain place at a certain time. You're going to learn how to complete your work to a specific standard all the time, regardless of the conditions. And then you can take those skill sets back to your community and start your own type business if you'd like.
You know, I'm just kind of curious. Do you have people that come to you and say, I want to join up because I want to serve the country, or I want to join because I want to learn skills?
Well, you hear both. It just really depends on the area. It depends on the person.
Okay.
At the end of the day, we want to make sure we research and really tie into the possibilities of service. So if you're just a patriot and you want to give back, then we want you on the team. If you want to come here and get some skills as well, we want you on the team. What we do know is that regardless of the reason for service, it will evolve into being a patriot. And we're very confident in that fact.
Gotcha. And I understand you use the Army's Credentialing Assistance Program.
I did.
Is that right? You know, tell me about that program. How's it help in recruiting, retention, and for life after the military?
So Army Credentialing Assistance is about 3 years old. Before, we've always had Army Tuition Assistance. So what the senior leaders of the Army has realized is that we all may want to get a traditional education at a college or university, but we can also leverage certain skill sets and certain credentials for post-service as well. So here recently, I actually completed a Society of Human Resource Management certified professional. And what that's going to do for me is I'm already kind of in talent acquisition, but that also allowed me to learn the other 23 elements of HR. And so ultimately what will happen is I'll take my skills and experience in the Army, and then I'll walk away with my master's degree and my credential to essentially be an asset to organizations, and they can see that on resumes, and they'll be able to take not only my soft skills, but the things that I also have that are tangible that will help their organizations in the future.
Do you use that? Do you use that in your recruiting?
I do. I always mention it because The be all you can be concept is all about the possibilities of service. So it doesn't matter why you come in the office, why you want to serve. At the end of the day, there's a myriad of possibilities, and we want young people to have an opportunity to explore those possibilities.
And talk to me a little bit about the relationship that the Army or the military has with higher institutes of higher learning. I mean, do you guys hand in glove kind of thing?
We do. So we have what's called a CONAP program, Concurrent Admissions Program. We have roughly about 1,900 institutions across the world that if you serve in the Army, you also can get basically a direct acceptance into one of 1,900 different universities, colleges and universities.
And finally then, why would someone want to join?
Why wouldn't someone want to join?
No, why would someone want to join? Yeah.
Like I said, at the end of the day, we want to explore the possibilities of service. So you may be a young person that have minimal to no direction. You may be a young person that knows exactly where you want to be in the next 5 years. Whatever your situation is, when you come into the service, what we do understand is if I get a young person at 17, when they're 20 or 21, they're going to go back to their respective communities better people because of their service.
Very good. Sergeant Grimes, thanks for your service and thanks for being here today.
Thank you for your support. Thank you for having me.
You bet.